What is up, everyone? Welcome to another live stream of the podcast of the I Am Undeniable podcast. And in today's episode, what I'm actually going to be talking about is how to create momentum, how to create motivation, and honestly, how to stay consistent when life gets busy. I think this is like a really important topic. I've been talking to so many of you guys in the DMs, especially through Instagram, Facebook. And the biggest area that I'm seeing in terms of losing body fat and getting really good shape is lack of consistency, lack of motivation due to stress, due to work, due to family. And in today's episode, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be breaking things down to ensure to teach you guys how to stay consistent with your fat loss goals, with your long-term goals, while trying to balance and keep that motivation going despite the stressors of everyday life. I definitely think this is going to be really important for you because if you're constantly starting over with your fitness because of work stress and family obligations, or honestly just plain burnout, then this is for you. Because like in this episode, I'm going to break down why motivation isn't the key to success and what actually works when life gets hectic. And I'm going to be teaching you guys how high achieving professionals like you can build unstoppable momentum, staying consistent, and honestly finally make real progress without needing more time or more energy when it comes down to these routines. And I think that's such an important aspect when it comes down to making these huge changes. Now, the only thing I do ask though is if you are getting mad value from the podcast, is just to go on it, give it a rating, right? Let me know what you think as well, or share it to a friend or family member that could really use the value that I'm dropping today. Now, what usually happens when someone loses motivation? I think a lot of times when your schedule is extremely hectic, it's really hard to keep on point. But like I see three key areas that most people make a mistake on when it comes down to getting motivating and building momentum when it comes down to their fitness goals. I think number one is you expect yourself to be motivated 24/7. I see this all the time. I see this with clients a lot as well. And the reality is you're not going to be motivated all the damn fucking time. That is the damn truth. There's going to be some days where you might not want to get out of bed. There's going to be some days where you're going to want to be pressing that snooze button. There's going to be some days where you do not want to stick with your meal prep or go to the gym. And the truth is you need to suck it up and you need to show up anyways. Like how your fitness journey really works, it's going to matter the most when you are the least motivated. That is when you need to show up. That is when you need to show up for yourself. And that's when you need to push yourself the most, is on those days where you do not want to show up. So I think the first thing that you have to understand is you need to flip your perspective and you need to flip the way you view things and understand there is no perfect time. There is not going to be any perfect scenario in your life where you don't have possible stress going on, where you're going to have the time to be motivated and develop momentum all the time. And that's the whole damn point, because life is going to test you out at certain times. Life is going to challenge you, and you have to have the capability as yourself to be like, you know what? I'm going to show up damn anyways, and I'm going to be putting the work in to make sure it gets done. That is the number one mindset shift that you need, is to understand that, yeah, life can get stressful, but you got to push through anyways. Because if you don't, well, then you're never going to accomplish your goals. This shit is not meant to be easy. That is the truth. Step number 2 is you need to get really organized with your life. I find if someone is extremely stressed out due to work, due to family, due to whatever you got going on in your life, it's usually because you have a big lack of disorganization within your life. And what you need to do is you need to get organized. You need to organize your time. You need to understand how to apply that stuff. And that's essentially going to solve a lot of your stress on top of it. So my big suggestion to a lot of clients that I work with is you download Google Calendar and you start organizing your time throughout the week and where you can commit to. You want to make sure that it's realistic. You want to make sure that it's consistent, and you want to make sure that you can consistently show up every single day consistently, so you can build that motivation and build that momentum. You don't want to overpack your schedule. You want to make sure it's nice and balanced. And even for myself, I got 2 kids at home, right? I'm very busy myself, so I will breathe and die according to what's in my calendar. And my calendar is at the point where my girlfriend, if we need to get something done or a family event, or I need to watch the kids for a day because she has to go down to the university for her studies, we will make sure it's in my calendar, right? We will plan things ahead of time to make sure it's on point. And the reality is this: if you want to be successful, you got to be organized with your time. Your time, it really matters. So number one is download a calendar and start organizing your week. Start putting in your work hours. How long does it take you to drive to work and back? Start putting in dedicated family time. Start putting in date nights. Start putting times when you're going to the gym or you're meal prepping. Everything you can think of, I want you guys to put in that calendar. Now, it's not meant to be perfect. It's not something that you need to absolutely stick to every single day, but it's going to give you a viewpoint of actually where you're spending time. Are you actually busy, or are you wasting time on things that are not going to allow you to get ahead? As an example, a lot of people will scroll on TikTok for hours. Maybe you're watching Netflix. Maybe you're doing things that really don't serve you towards your long-term goals. And I'm not saying you can't have chill time for yourself. I'm not saying you can't have any kind of downtime. But what I am saying is you need to get organized with what you're doing with your day-to-day life. That is the most important part. The more organized you can get with your day-to-day life, the better success you're going to see. Like if you really want to develop massive motivation, right? If you really want to understand why momentum and being consistent and making real progress is important, it's because you need to pick something or organize yourself where you can stay consistent day in and day out, no matter what. So that's the first two, right? I talked about you need a perspective shift. Number two, you need to stay organized with yourself. And the third one, I actually think this is the most important one. Now, I could sit here and give you guys the perfect workout routine, the perfect nutrition plan, yada, yada, yada. But that's not what you really need. Sometimes you need a kick in the ass. Sometimes you need a wake-up call to understand that you're capable of more. And that's the third part, is you need to do things that can regulate your stress. You need to step into a position of power for yourself. And the best way I know how to do that is you need to cut things out that stress you out, right? So if your stress is extremely high, you need to write down all the things that stress you out. I'm talking about all the little things. It could be your negative mindset. It could be a certain person, right? It could be your job. Write all of the things down, and you want to cut out the things that you can, because some things you can't cut out, right? You can't just cut out your job. If your kids are stressing you out, you can't just cut them out, but you can cut out the things that do, right? And the one thing that probably stresses you out a lot is probably you got to look at your personal relationships. Which relationships stress you out the most? Do you give yourself negative self-talk? What is going on that end? There are probably so many different things that are going on. So what I like to call it is you want to get into your peak, what I call your peak flow state. So if you imagine it like a straight line going up and down, right? This is your peak flow state, right? And we have other distractions or other stressors in our life that take away from that straight line. So let's say, it's like television. Television takes it off because you're watching too much, you're drinking beer, you're snacking, you're tired. Maybe you're not going to bed early enough. Maybe you're not waking up on time, right? Maybe that's that family member that keeps stressing you out. All these things. So all of a sudden, that straight line of that flow state, now all of a sudden becomes a freaking network. It's like a spider web. It's going all over the place, right? It's stopping you from being in that perfect flow state in order for you to build massive momentum. And if anything is stopping you from that building that perfect flow state up, you need to cut that out, or you need to deregulate that area. And you want to tackle each area one at a time so you can be in a perfect flow state. The more flow state that you're in, the more stress regulation you can handle, the more motivated you are going to be, the better momentum you are going to build towards your long-term goals, right? And you want to target these different areas so you can get into peak state. I call these blind spots. You're blind to them because you do not realize how much the stressors affect you from actually building momentum, from actually helping you accomplish your fitness goals. They are fucking holding you back. And you need to have the courage to step up and cut that shit out so you can build some damn momentum for yourself. So guys, that is it for today's episode on the I Undeniable podcast. if there's one big takeaway that you guys can take away from this, is that you're capable of more. You're capable of way more than you ever think of. And it's time to fucking step up.